Hello everybody, welcome back to the Garrett 426 channel. I really need to figure out a better way to go ahead and start doing these damn intros. So what I have here is a PD150 intake manifold, EGR cooler, and the boost tube thing, the adapter to go ahead and make the EGR work for my ALH diesel Beetle. The stock intake manifold is really crappy in comparison to this one. This one came more from the performance diesel aspect. I think they're found on a few different Audis, but what I know for a fact is that you can find them on a Golf TDI GT, which unfortunately were only sold over in the UK and Germany. It was never brought here to the States, which that kind of sucks. We didn't get all the fun stuff. But this intake manifold is 10 times better than the intake manifold that I currently have. I went and I picked this guy up from a company called Darkside Performance. They are located over in the UK. They pulled this right off of the shelf. I mean, this is a used model, I can tell, because there's still a little bit of soot in some places. They did a really good job cleaning it. And I went and I got the EGR cooler and EGR along with it, which includes this little hose here to make my stock piping work. You know, it just clips right in. So since you already know what that is, I can throw it away. Well, get it out of my workspace. This entire kit ran me just under 300 bucks with shipping. It's pretty sweet, not too bad. Now the reason why I'm keeping my EGR and that guy is because this helps heat the engine up a little bit faster. I don't care what anybody says, it does. And the reason why I'm keeping my EGR is because the guys over at Karma TDI convinced me into keeping it. I'm used to dealing with the big diesel stuff, and in the big diesel stuff, delete everything. But on the little diesels, they told me that, hey, unless you're actually doing a real racing application, there's no point in getting rid of this. They could actually use this for a little bit of tuning perspective and make it to where they can actually get more horsepower out of it and more fuel economy. I don't know how that works, that's just what they told me, so I'm keeping it. And this is really important to me. Really, any diesel, this is a good thing. It has the anti-shutter valve, which is this guy right here. What that is there for is whenever you go ahead and shut it off, it'll close it to help shut the motor down a little bit faster and whatnot. And what's great about it is it will prevent runaways. In a situation where, you know, your diesel's running away, not a good thing, and you turn the key off, the car will immediately close that valve and kill your engine. I understand that in most runaway situations, you go to turn the key off and it doesn't kill it. And then you're like, oh crap. But in this case, it will, and I would like to keep that. I know that you could go ahead and drill out the EGR and put in a few bolts there and some plugs and whatnot and still keep your anti-shutter valve, but let's just keep the thing. Something else included with the kit too is they gave me all the gaskets and all the bolts that you need. Unfortunately, mine didn't come with new intake manifold bolts. That's okay. I really didn't want to deal with that Allen head crap anyways. I'm going to go ahead and get some nice hex bolts. They sent me a bunch of hex bolts, which is pretty sweet, and they sent me all the gaskets for all the piping and whatnot. They sent me a gasket for the intake manifold as well. I don't have that currently here, but you know, I do have it. And they also sent a gasket for this guy, or I guess the O-ring, because I mean, I could tell by just looking at this one, it's pretty damn collapsed. So, send me a whole bunch of stuff, which is pretty awesome. What I do need to go ahead and do, like I already said, is clean everything. This is all gross and oily and whatnot, and I understand why they pulled it directly off of a car and sent it to me. This they put through the wash, that they didn't. It's fine. I get it. I spent 300 bucks on it. It's okay. But I'm going to go ahead and clean all this up, and then we're going to pull the intake manifold off of the Beetle and replace it with this guy. And I'll show you why this is way better. I mean, from what I could see already, just from memory alone, is this is significantly larger. The other one has this weird plenum to where these two cylinders will get way more air than these two. And just on the EGR alone, I mean, I feel like the EGR on my diesel is half, like literally half this size. So yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and clean everything up. Got my brake clean, my easy off oven cleaner, you know, pipe cleaner, brush, these guys, toothbrushes. These are awesome. And gloves. Trust me, you want to wear freaking gloves when working with that easy off oven cleaner. The cheap stuff, whatever. You should be fine. You should still wear gloves though. That stuff though, I got a little bit of it on my arm, and I got like a giant burn about that big right here. So don't do that. this thing is so dirty. Should really be wearing safety glasses for this. I mean, I should put my sunglasses on to prevent some of this stuff from getting to my eyes, because this will make you go blind. But, you know, I'm also an idiot. I'm aware on why I get hurt all the time. Okay, so this stuff's pretty hard caked on here, so I'm getting the brass brush to make sure that we don't damage anything. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse this off, spray it down again, let it soak for a little while. I think I got the bulk of it. And then I'll go ahead and move on to these pieces, which will be really easy. Honestly, this is just the main thing that's really disgusting. This stuff's easy. And I'm cleaning all of this because I don't want to put really disgusting dirty parts on my car. Like, I have the chance to clean it, I'm going to clean it. You are more than happy to go ahead and put these disgusting parts on your car, though. So much freaking soot, man. Okay, so in here, this is the cooler. There's some tubes in here. It's kind of like a little boiler. The water sits on the outside. The exhaust gases go through these tubes, and the tubes get clogged sometimes. So just, you know, take a pipe cleaner and just fucking clean them. As you guys can see, I kind of mocked it all up. Much cleaner, nowhere near as dirty. Looks a whole lot better. Got this guy completely back together, and check out the inside of it. It was all black and gross. Now it's all really nice and clean. The whole thing. It's much, 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 much better. Next up is taking the old one out, showing you the difference between the two, and putting this one in. Well, I got that pipe off, but unfortunately we broke this. I'm hoping that it's just a stud and I can remove it and use one of these old bolts to hold it down. We're gonna find out. And I did spray them down with WD-40 and, well, it just didn't work. Which really sucks, but I'll figure it out. Now let's go ahead, get our hose clamp thingy and remove all of our coolant lines that goes into the EGR cooler. See how nice this thing is. Now remember, there should be a total of 3 coolant lines, 2 big ones and 1 tiny one. The tiny one goes to the overflow tank. And they should just work it back and forth a little bit, come on off. Whenever you go to put it back on, put a little bit of like lubricant or something on them, even if it's just WD-40. Now there are 3 5mm Allens holding the cooler on itself. Getting to all of them might be a bit of a pain. Why is it such a pain in the ass to get this one fucker out? And now your EGR cooler's out, and it should be full of water. Yeah, still has some in it. Ugh. This is all clogged. Looks nasty. Not too surprised. Now we can just take this 6mm and pull out all of the intake manifold bolts, and then manifold will be out. Clean everything, make sure it's all nice, and then install the new one. And you're probably going to need an extension for like all of these. Mostly just because the oil line's in the way, there's other stuff in the way, whole bunch of stuff in the way. A long extension will work, a shorter one's better, but a long extension does fit in here. And every one of these that breaks loose is freaking awesome. Sorry you guys can't see much, I'll just skip past all this. Okay, so I actually ended up getting super lucky. I know for a fact one of these is stripped and I have a way that I'm gonna get it out. But besides that one, every single one of these broke loose. And on top of that, they didn't break themselves. Like sometimes you'll have issues with these intake manifold bolts breaking inside the cylinder head, which for anybody who's ever been there before, knows that is like the worst of days. Even though we already have a broken stud in the exhaust manifold, which I'm going to try to get out once this is out. Pretty much this entire process is like, how do I get more room? That looks real nasty. Don't need that anymore. Okay, I don't know exactly how this happened, but I ended up losing a good bit of footage, and it's raining right now. So I'm just gonna go ahead and fill you guys in as I duck my head up underneath here. I removed this cowl. There is a 10mm to remove it here, here, and here. Comes right out pretty easily. I obviously already have the intake manifold out. I disconnected the coolant lines. and disconnected the vacuum hoses. Make sure not to get these two mixed up. This one with an angle is for the evap heater. This one is for the anti-shutter valve. And if you go to the vacuum hoses here, there will be two of them. The smaller one goes to the anti-shutter valve. The larger one goes to the EGR. I also removed the PCV valve hose right here as well. And the boost tube, which you will have to keep one of the clamps for it to work with the new one. That is pretty much it as far as that goes. And now we'll just go ahead and continue with the rest of the video. So after turning the camera off, because I was getting extremely frustrated and using a whole bunch of colorful and creative language that only my mother would be proud of, I finally figured out how to go ahead and fix this stud problem that was breaking. Talk about an hour-and-a-half project that turned into an all-day long thing real freaking quick. I tried and tried and tried to get it out, and basically what I ended up doing is just drilling the whole thing all the way through and putting in a bolt going in through the other side. That will hold it just fine. This is my temporary permanent fix, and what I mean by that is it will be permanent to this turbo, but once I get the new turbo, which will be a BorgWarner S7 at some point in time with new injectors, it will be fixed because the new turbo will come with new studs. But for right now, this will work just fine. And man, was it a pain in the ass to get it in, but I made it work. Had to destroy some drill bits in the process as well, but you know, sometimes things just don't work out. Thankfully, I managed to make this work. All right, so the intake manifold is out, and check out the difference. This is what was in my car. This is what is now in my car. And yeah, I mean, clearly this one's gonna flow a whole lot more. I mean, this one's honestly kind of made to just build up soot and whatnot and not have to clean it as often. This one's a different story. But I mean, like, that's a huge difference. I mean, just the opening alone, I mean, that is clearly much larger and can flow significantly more than this ever could. And if you come over to the EGR and anti-shutter valves, check this out. Now, it is kind of hard to compare because the hookup's different. This one's like a giant hose barb. This one is a quick release. But, I mean, you could tell just by looking at the size of the valve inside that this one is much, much larger. Look at the other side, for instance. I mean, just like they don't even, like, they do not compare at all. This one's significantly bigger than this one and will flow much, much more. So now I'm going to go ahead and install this onto that guy and put it into the bug. Okay, you want to go ahead and tighten all these down to 7 foot-pounds. Pretty much anything on this Volkswagen that has a 5mm Allen head is going to be 7 foot-pounds. Anything with a 6mm is going to be 18 foot-pounds, which is what all of these bolts right here are going to be. Alright, so instead of reusing all of the old intake manifold bolts, I went out and got these guys right here. These are apparently the upgraded intake manifold bolts. I got sick and tired of those 6mm Allen heads, and unfortunately, Dark Side Performance didn't send me any replacement bolts. They usually do, but I found these guys. They're apparently the much, much better version. They have a 10mm head on them, which is freaking sweet. They fit in here perfectly, just as it should. Plus, another benefit to these as well is apparently they won't snap inside the block. These have a really bad habit of snapping in the block, which kind of surprises me because they're only torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. Read a lot of good things about these. I like how it's a hex head. Now I just need to go ahead and get my gasket for them, which thankfully Dark Side Performance sent one. I don't think it really matters which way it faces. I want to say I should face it this way though. Maybe like have it towards the block, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Let's go ahead and install this in the rain. Yeah, because I'm really bad at freaking timing crap. Hopefully my GoPro doesn't get messed up. It is waterproof, but I have the opening off on it because yeah, you know, GoPro stuff. How am I gonna do that? I think I should go ahead and start this bolt here and the gasket. Make sure it's facing, yep. There's not really gonna be a whole lot to actually show. You guys kind of know what's going on here. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn off the camera right now and then come back to when everything's installed and show you what it all looks like, because I just need to get this done right now and I'm getting soaking wet. Okay, so for all intents and purposes, this entire video is an absolute shit show, but the intake manifold is in, and I've had it in this car for 2 weeks now. I haven't had any issues at all. I definitely noticed an improvement throughout the entire RPM range. It idles significantly smoother. It pulls a little bit better throughout the entire RPM range. I mean, it just runs better. I could tell that cylinders 1 and 4 are definitely getting more air when before, like I said, 2 and 3 was getting most of the air. And I've also noticed a 1 to 2 mile per gallon fuel economy increase, probably because I don't have to put my foot into it as much. One thing I will say is the pancake tube is what some people call it, that goes all the way down to the turbo inlet. You will have to stretch it a little bit to make it fit. In all honesty, I would personally just spend another $200 and get I would recommend just going out and paying $200 to get an old man intake, so you don't have to deal with any of that. Plus the old man intake will flow much more air anyways. I would definitely recommend buying it for sure, and I 100% think it was worth it. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a big thumbs up. I honestly doubt you did enjoy this video. If you are stopping by for the first time, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.